Happy Day and happy 80th Liberation Day, Guam. I'm Catherine Castro, your host for the Chamber BizBox. We're bringing you something just a little bit different in our BizBox podcast today. Instead of concentrating on specific issues of concern for the private sector, we went and talked to folks about the 80th Liberation and what it means to our community. 80 years ago, on July 21st, 1944, the first wave of the 3rd Marine Division of the U.S. Marine Corps landed on the beaches of Guam between Asin and Adelup. Over 55,000 U.S. Marine and Army personnel, supported by the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Coast Guard, along with our very own Chamorro men and women, faced over 18,000 Japanese soldiers as they stormed the beaches and endured the sweltering heat of our island jungles to end almost 3 years of torturous Japanese occupation on the people of Guam. It took nearly 3 weeks, but on August 10, 1944, the last of the Imperial soldiers were defeated. So here we are, 80 years later, and our island has seen tremendous growth and expansion, as well as economic setbacks due to Mother Nature, regional ebbs and flows, and a worldwide pandemic. We have enjoyed a thriving tourism industry that includes visitors from all over the world, including our friends from Japan. Over the last few days, we've had the pleasure of speaking with chamber members and folks from our community and asked them what their thoughts and reflections are about the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Guam. We're so proud to share their comments, and we'd like to begin with Mr. Lee Weber, past chairman of the board.
Happy Day. My name is Lee Weber. I'm from Micronesian Divers and a member of the Guam Chamber of Commerce. Guam has been my home for 56 of those 80 years that we're celebrating. There's no better way to live than in a free society than on a beautiful Pacific island. An island that understands the cost of freedom and the price that must be paid to maintain that. Viva Guam!
Happy Day. This is Jessica Barrett, President of Barrett Plumbing and Pumping and Guam Chamber Small Business Committee Chair. What does commemorating the 80th liberation of Guam mean to me? Seems simple enough until I came to the realization that I had not ever really thought about it. Growing up, liberation festivities was the highlight of summer, spending nights at the carnivals. Yes, carnivals, because we also had the Jigo amusement park, with the roller coaster and log ride, and the main carnival with the games of chance and skill. It was the most exhilarating event of summer. And then there was the annual parade. We would gather to barbecue at the same place with family and friends. Ironically, our gathering place is the current chamber office site. We would get sunbaked watching the bands and groups march by, waiting for the goodies to be strewn to us kids and anxiously awaiting to ooh and ah at the Queen and Royal Court floats, with the classic Beauty Queen wave to both sides of the roads, and the night culminating with the grand finale of the fireworks. However, the true meaning of Guam's Liberation Day is the day we were liberated from the snares of the enemy by the United States. Sadly, not before many Chamorros lost their lives, and even those that survived have to carry the memories of the atrocities of war. You can hear it in their voices when they share their stories, the agony and sadness in their eyes of their daily rituals, fighting to just survive. Fight quietly, though, so as not to draw unwanted attention to themselves, because those deemed to be strong or leaders of our people were quickly silenced to keep them from resisting and revolting. Anything that was related to the U.S. was frowned upon, yet our people held their trust steadfastly in the U.S. forces' return to conquer the enemies. And they did just that on July 21st, 1944. Today, the number of survivors are dwindling. I watched the proclamation ceremony at the Legislative Hall with deep respect for the survivors and with the utmost admiration that despite all they endured, they are grateful for the U.S. and forgiving of their enemies. In summary, I realize as the years go by, the younger generations must not forget that liberation isn't just a holiday to watch the parade and barbecue. It is to honor and commemorate this historic day our island of Guam was liberated from the enemy by the United States of America, and to pay tribute to our island's people's resilience to overcome and rebuild again and to pay honor for our liberators. Viva USA, Viva Guam, and Viva 80th Guam Liberation. God bless us all.
Hafaday, Phil Santos with Matson Navigation. What Liberation Day means for me? Well, when I think of Liberation Day and growing up here in Guam, I think about the history and how it has affected our generation before us. Both my parents were alive during that period of time. I think about my grandparents and aunties and uncles and families who were there, who survived the atrocities of being occupied by another country. And so living through that had to have been very difficult. I constantly ask stories of our seniors in Manamku, how they lived through it and what did they have to do. I know that for the most part it's been very difficult, but I know that there are times where they had made themselves entertained and how they played games and stuff to keep themselves busy. I went to Father Duenas High School, and so of course he brings back a lot of memories in terms of what he did during the war and also had gone through his beheading. And so this year's theme is a true reflection of peace. Todo y tiempo y paz parejita is a great theme for us to commemorate 80 years of liberation here in Guam. God bless.
Hafaday, my name is Michael Sakazaki from Bank of Hawaii. As we mark the 80th Liberation Day of Guam, I reflect deeply on the significance of this day, not just to our community, but personally to my family. 8 decades ago, Guam was liberated from wartime occupation, a pivotal moment that reshaped the destiny of our island and its people. This day symbolizes resilience, courage, and the enduring spirit of the Chamorro people. My grandmother, Carmen Artero Kasperbauer, lived through the horrors of World War II right here in Guam. Her stories of endurance and hope during these dark times have been a profound influence in my life. She taught me that the spirit of Chamorro is unbreakable, defined not by the trials we face, but how we overcome them. Liberation Day to me is a testament to the unyielding spirit, its remembrance of all those who suffered and sacrificed, ensuring that future generations could live in freedom. It's also a celebration of progress and peace, a reminder that despite the darkest of times, there's always a dawn ahead. As we commemorate this day, let us remember the lessons passed down by our elders, our manunko, like my grandmother, Carmen, lessons of resilience, unity, and the importance of preserving our culture and history. Let's honor their sacrifices by committing to building a stronger, more inclusive Guam, where the spirit of liberation enriches every aspect of our lives. Si Dios Ma'asi and Viva Guam.
Hafaday, my name is James McDonald, and I am from Magana Heights. And I am also the Regional Director for USA Crime Stoppers, Region 14, representing the states of Alaska, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Guam Crime Stoppers. Yes, I am here to talk about what is Liberation Day, for Guam. This is the 80th anniversary for the liberation of Guam, and this goes back, to our ancestors, our parents, who have gone through a lot of atrocities, and they witnessed a lot of killings, of Chamorros during that time. And we want to thank the U.S. Armed Forces for liberating Guam against the Imperial Army of Japan. And this means a lot, to our people, especially the Chamorros. That's why it's the largest event here in Guam, and we want to pray for peace and prosperity for the future. Danklu na sa Diyos Masi to you people of Guam.
My name is Mark J. Sablan, Vice President, Business Development of South Pacific Petroleum Corporation. What does commemorating the 80th Liberation mean to me? Well, I take it rather personally. because my dad is a war survivor, and it does have a personal impact on myself and my family and the stories that he shared with us. He was in church during the invasion back in December 8, 1941, and lived in Hagåtña, later relocated to Toto as the war became more intense. Unfortunately, he and his family were marched to Menengan, and he suffered the atrocities there along with the other Chamorro people. So to this day, it's still a memory until the time of his death, back in April 2nd, 2024. So what I see is that from all the atrocities the Guamanians have really made sacrifices, as well as the liberators of Guam. And eventually, all these sacrifices led to U.S. citizenship in 1950 by the Organic Act.
Half a day. My name is Angelica Bumba. I am a program manager for the Juvenile Drug Treatment Court program at the Judiciary of Guam. What does commemorating the 80th Liberation of Guam mean to me? That's simple. It's family. I honor my parents and grandparents who survived the war and teaching me resiliency as a Chamorro people, having extreme faith and hope in God to be liberated by the United States. They showed me that as a people, we are strong, brave, and care for one another. I honor and I am truly grateful for those individuals who sacrificed themselves for freedom so that we may tell their stories from generations to come. Thank you.
Buenas and half a day. This is Ben Schiff from Alter Ego Entertainment, and celebrating Guam's 80th liberation to me is about showing the true half a day spirit. Even though we are recolonized, not exactly truly liberated, we should be honoring all the sacrifices made from all the soldiers, American, Chamorro, Islander alike, who fought for our freedom from the occupying forces in World War II, while at the same time preserving our history by acknowledging and celebrating the resilience of the Chamorro people, their heritage, and taking time to educate our youth about what the significance is for a community to come together and the progress we've made in the last 80 years. On Liberation Day, we can honor all of our heroes while inspiring the future generations of our island what they can accomplish when they stand together as one and fight for what they believe in.
Half a day. This is Eunice de Belen from Guam Chamber of Commerce. So what does commemorating the 80th liberation of Guam mean to me? I feel like this is such a significant day, especially for those who came before us, those who were liberated from oppressive subjugation. It is a celebration of bravery, honoring our ancestors and elders who greatly contributed to shaping the Guam we live in today. Personally speaking, as an immigrant, this commemoration also meant looking back on this history that brought us to this very moment. This event is vital to appreciating our cultures, our presence, including those who are no longer here with us.
Half a day, I'm Leila Cabrini Delgado Espinal, and I'm your 80th Guam Liberation Queen. Commemorating the importance of liberation to me means marking these milestones of resilience for our culture and heritage. We are reminded of the sacrifices and devastations our people has overcome and turned it into a positive celebration. The commemoration serves as a reminder of determination for our people's freedom. Most importantly, we acknowledge our survivors, both living and deceased, for I do not understand the obstacles they have overcome. I will keep the survivor story dearest to my heart and share it with my generation for generations to come. Viva 80th Liberation and Viva Guam!
Half a day. I'm Madeline Bordallo, and I just returned to Guam last evening to attend the 80th anniversary of the liberation. And it's so good to be home. And I've been asked many times, what do I appreciate the most about the 80th anniversary? And I think it's this, because 80 years from that dreadful day, people of Guam are still celebrating in a very dedicated way. They attend so many of the memorials around the island. They say masses in their village churches. And of course, some of these events are even attended by the Japanese officials, which is very impressive to me after 80 years. And of course, we have the festive activities as well. The Liberation Parade, where we have floats and marching bands with the military and the mayors of the islands and civic organizations. It's great to see. It's one of the most festive and serious celebrations on the island to this day, 80 years later. Si Jus Mase for your attention. Viva Guam!
I am Joyce Irene Camacho. Used to be Letty Martrat. My parents are Jesus and Nicholas Camacho and Rosario Castro. I was born in Agana on August 28, 1939, in Agana, where I was also baptized at the church there that was bombed by the Japanese during World War II. Because of the war, our families got moved to Mongmong, Utan Mongmong. It's a Camacho Scambaluri family moved to Mongmong, Utan Mongmong. And there we settled for a while until we were taken by the Japanese to march to concentration camp. My mother had me with her. She's a Techa, and all through that walk, I was just a child, as you can see, and I was hurting. She said the rosary, and she keeps telling me quietly to pray with her. My sister Lucy Ann, my aunt Margaret, my mother's sister, were taken by the Japanese. Up till now, we don't know what happened to them. And Manyangun, when we arrived, my feet were bleeding. And my grandfather, Jose de Ortiz de Camacho, put some leaves on my feet to keep it from bleeding further. Those were the worst days of our lives. We were hungry. During the rain, we were wet. But then the Lord answered our prayers. The Americans came to save us. I was so happy with that thought as a child, knowing that somebody's trying to save us. My father, Jesus and Nicholas Camacho, was with the combat patrol and was also working with the FBI. We never saw him during that time. He was out there also fighting for us. Well, the war ended with many pains and the feeling of just knowing that we are going to eat. Many starved, as I remember. I'm just a child, so those are memories of my childhood. We were taken, and knowing that I was hungry, one of the soldiers shared his chocolate with me. That was the best meal that I can remember of that time. And then we moved back to Mongmong. And there, the Americans started, that's after the war, the Americans started, along with the Chamorro men, to build the island up. Pretty soon we have a school. And the American flag and the Guam flag were raised. I was so proud of that. The kids, the children, the students were pledging allegiance to the American flag. We were so proud of that. Up till now, I'm almost 85 years old. I remember those times. And I'm fighting for freedom. Freedom that is given by God. He is in our life. We must treasure it. Everything that we do now is to respect and love one another. We must fight also to keep that freedom. But in fighting, we must pray. We must not learn to hate, but to love and respect each other. All I can say is God bless America. God bless Guam. Si Diyos maasi para todo hamjus na tao Guam. Jani hita sigya man manaytay. Sa si Diyos ayat na mananay. Ni Jota ilinalata kinikitano.
Whether we celebrate with family gatherings, attend the Liberation Day parade and festivities, or visit historical sites that mark significant aspects of the war, we are reminded of the immense sacrifices of our forefathers and liberators who fought so bravely through this tragic period, with thousands giving their lives for the freedom of Guam and her people. As we head into this weekend's festivities, we also look onward with hope, as our grandparents and our parents did. Their sacrifices and resiliency paved the way to peace and prosperity. I hope that you have a great celebration commemorating this historic period of our history. I hope that it's marked with love and respect for our people, our island, and our nation. I'm your host, Catherine Castro, and I look forward to seeing you again soon on the next episode of the Chamber Biz Box. God bless Guam. God bless America. Viva Liberation!